Hey everyone, welcome to the Believe Again podcast powered by Parable Bookkeeping and Accounting with your hosts Josh and Amy Robry. On this show, we discuss the challenges and triumphs of life and ministry, offering hope and practical insights for pastors and leaders everywhere.
That's right. Our goal is to explore the heart of what it means to believe again and lead well in every season. And today we have a really exciting episode. We're joined by Jimmy and Irene Rollins, incredible speakers, both authors and marriage coaches who have spent years helping couples build marriages filled with love, laughter, and longevity.
Jimmy and Irene's journey from pastoring a thriving church to focusing on marriage ministry is powerful. We're going to dive into all of that today. You won't want to miss this inspiring story and their wisdom that they bring building strong families.
Jimmy and Irene Rollins are passionate about ministry with a special focus on strengthening marriages and families. After nearly 25 years of full-time ministry, including 10 years as the senior pastors of I-5 City Church, they transitioned to founding 2=1, a ministry dedicated to building healthy marriages that lead to thriving families and communities. In their over 23 years of marriage, they've overcome personal challenges like addictions, family dysfunction, and communication struggles, emerging with a message of hope, healing, and restoration. Now, as sought-after speakers, authors, and coaches, they inspire others to live with love, laughter, and longevity.
Okay, let's jump into our conversation with Jimmy and Irene. Okay, Jimmy and Irene, we're so happy to have you guys on the podcast. How y'all doing today?
We are doing phenomenal.
Yeah, honored to be a part of what you guys are doing. We love Believe Again podcast, so thank you for having us.
Well, we're just so happy to have y'all. You know, Jimmy, you've just expressed so much belief in me over the years. You're like a big brother to me. And we love getting to do ministry with y'all. And it's just always a joy anytime we get to see you. Your story is so inspiring. Irene, I remember the first time you shared your story at a launch training. And I was just like, yes, man, look at this. I'm so glad that this is who we are as an organization, that we're telling stories like this.
Right.
And so I'm glad to finally have y'all on the podcast.
Absolutely. It's an honor.
Yes, it really is.
Well, I'm also especially honored because I've seen like the media tour that you guys have been on promoting what you're doing now. And I'm just like, I can't believe that we get to have y'all. Tell us a little bit about all the different like promotions you guys have been. This has been really wild.
Yeah. So we're super excited. And first of all, I promise you that our, that was
Shameless plug, shameless.
our greatest, like, I would say excitement is to do this with our friends. And so it's like, you know, I don't care how big the stage is. I don't care. We would rather spend time like with you guys doing this, and you guys know that that's our heart. And, but it's some cool things coming up. I mean, we really feel like what we wrote in this book is not just our story, but it gives the tools. It gives, if I'm honest with you, hundreds of thousands of dollars and hours of counseling and coaching that we receive personally. And we've filtered it through a practical way to help other couples get to some of the equation, the healthy equation that we got to without going through the stuff that we went through.
Yeah.
And so we got Red Rocks conference this weekend in Denver. And then we got, we're launching at Union Church, Pastor Stephen and I, next weekend, November 3rd. And then November 8th and 9th, we're doing the Lakewood Spark Marriage Conference with Joe at Lakewood. I mean, what's the church called again? Lakewood in Houston.
Just like the second biggest church in the country.
Yeah, and then we are the next weekend with Substance Church. You know, our amazing friends, Peter and Carolyn. And then we are pausing before Thanksgiving at Shoreline, at the church we attend here in Shoreline City with Earl and Onika. And so we are just pumped that, number one, we get to hang with our friends, but number two, we get to help their congregations and the people that they serve figure out their marriage equation.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little bit of a game here that I put together. I didn't tell you guys I was going to do this.
No problem.
But I'm going to let Amy ask the questions. But your book is 2=1, a marriage equation for love, laughter, and longevity. And so I thought, like, man, what can we do for an icebreaker that might be a little bit different and fun? And so I want to play a game called the likely equation. Okay. So the likely equation. So which one of you guys is more likely to do one of these things? All right. So just a little fun to get us started here. Uh, okay. So Amy, go ahead and lead us in this game.
Okay, so this is the likely equation game. And so Jimmy and Irene, our first question is, who is more likely to just squeeze the toothpaste tube instead of maybe roll it up strategically as you use it? Which one of you is more likely to just squeeze it?
It's definitely me.
It's actually a
100.
it's actually an issue now. And not because like it's like it's just what are you that angry at that you the toothpaste like that? The toothpaste ain't done nothing to you but provide clean teeth.
It's good. I love it.
And it's things I'll never change, probably.
I might be guilty of the same, Irene. I don't know. Just maybe. Okay. Next question is, okay, who is more likely to get up early and go jog or run or work out?
Me. And I would say this is only because of Irene going through some health challenges.
Yeah.
She definitely in our marriage has set the tone for health. But I'm starting to gain ground. I'm getting up, walking I try to do at least 3 miles every other day, 30 miles a week. And I've been hitting 30 miles a week. It's not the last 2 weeks because I messed up my toe. That's a whole man.
That's amazing. Okay. Question 3, who is more likely to stay up late to binge watch a show?
Me. Me. Because when I start to feel good, I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and watch.
Right? Yeah.
The night owl.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, who is more likely to plan a spontaneous trip?
100% me. Spontaneity is not my wife's spiritual gift.
No, it's just
So if Jimmy has a spontaneous trip, Irene, are you excited about it, or did you need to know it ahead of time?
I have learned in 25 years of marriage now that I lean into his gift. So I just go with the flow. And typically, if he's being spontaneous, he has already thought about all of the things that would bother me and all of the things that I need to make the trip happen. So my amazing husband knows how to prepare so that I'm not freaking out that we're leaving short notice. He's already thought about the dogs. He's thought about dog care, all the things. Because we're
That's great tips right there. I hope people took notes on that.
What y'all are hearing is that I am him. Like I am like when you look in the Bible and see the word husband, the original language would have a picture of him. I'm just like
silly. You are great.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, last one. Who is more likely to cook a fancy dinner?
Oh, Jimmy Rollins all the way.
Do y'all hear this? Like I'm good with toothpaste. I work, I cook.
You are him. You are.
I don't do laundry though.
No, you
No,
don't.
I don't do laundry.
That's the one flaw. No laundry.
Yeah, Jimmy, I actually wrote these just to set you up to look good. So
Thank you.
welcome.
It's gonna be a good night tonight. I appreciate you looking.
Totally.
Awesome. Well, it was fun getting to know you guys a little bit more through that little game. And Irene, you're obviously a blessed woman to be married to Jimmy. And but let's talk about your book, 2=1: A Marriage Equation of Love, Laughter, and Longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just jump right into the big idea, the marriage equation. Give us, what's the big idea behind the book? What's the core principle, and how it can help people in everyday life?
Sure. So we kind of, just to frame it up, we believe that, two very different people come together. Rarely do you hear that two people are very much the same. And if they are the same, there are still some challenges there. So how do we get how do our differences not divide us in our marriages? The very things that we were drawn to when we met the person, we fell in love, and everything was just, I loved Jimmy's spontaneity, but I actually ended up resenting it over time, right? Until we learned the skill of leveraging our differences. And that's pretty much what we do with 2=1. Finding your marriage equation of love, laughter, and longevity is really discovering, well, not discovering, really leaning into, do you really know what love is? Like, really, what the definition of love is from a biblical perspective, the whole purpose God has for marriage in the first place. And then we go into like loving everything that's different about each other, going from resentment to actually appreciating it and leveraging our differences to have a marriage made one. Our goal isn't in our marriages, we like to say, to think alike, it's to think together. So how can we get resenting each other for parenting different, for the tooth, pushing the toothpaste out of the toothpaste bottle differently, like to celebrating and laughing about it. Like, we too serious in our marriages. I know I have taken things way too personally, and we really dive into the practical tools of the how
Absolutely.
behind how anyone, that's the beauty of this book, anyone can apply these practical tools that that are tried and true into their marriage and take it to the next level. And the end result really is that agape love, that type of love that we know we're not going anywhere. We know I love you even though you throw your socks on the side of the bed instead of in the hamper. I love you through alcoholism for me, and Jimmy and mental health challenges and illness, and Jimmy through his weight challenges to whatever issues he's overcome in his life. And every marriage has them.
Yeah, and I think that, just scripturally, when we first look at when God created woman out of man, and then it goes on to says that, and the two shall become one, this whole idea, after he says it's not good for man to be alone. And we're not talking about men, we're talking about mankind, right? And then the word literally helpmate or helpmeet is the original Hebrew word. It literally means counterpart, not someone who's just submissive and comes under. And all of that ties together with this. Like, if God originally took a piece of man to make woman, right? Then we can also say that when they are united in marriage, a piece of you is missing if you're not together on this marriage journey. And so we dumb that down to the practice of decisions, to the practice of how we handle finances, to the practice of all the things. My wife is my counterpart to ensure that all of me is represented in a way that no matter what platform I'm in, what phase of life I'm in, her opinion, help, assistance, whatever it is, calling me out, being my accountability partner, it makes me one because she is a part of me, and that's how we work, she was created.
Like,
so
you allow me into that space. We are one instead of two separate people. Yeah, we're two separate people. We're two crazy people. We're two broken human beings. But when we allow each other into this space to leverage strengths and weaknesses, then we actually become this one, incredible force. So when I'm not around, Mr. Spontaneity can plan a trip because I really am with him. He knows my strengths. He knows my weaknesses. He knows what's going to freak me out. He knows what to do to settle and calm my nerves instead of just saying, "Oh, that's stupid." So in the beginning of our marriage, why are you thinking
okay, I didn't just say, okay, you want me to say your stuff? You want me to talk your stuff?
Yeah.
Stuff.
So literally in the beginning of our marriage is, you're that immature. You're like, I just set up this whole vacation for her. Why isn't she appreciative? And it's like, he didn't take into account how I'm wired. And it's like, now at this stage in our marriage and doing the work, which is why we wrote a book. We want to, if you can't, what is your saying that you love?
You can't complain about the marriage that you refuse to work on.
That's so
And
good.
you shouldn't, but all of us do.
Yeah.
And we are talking to people that don't have the ability to fix it. Right? Most marriages, they're divided because of fractures in the heart of us individually. And my greatest sermons or my greatest ideologies or the ways I think I'm right, the thing that I've never been able to do is change a heart. Like, only the Holy Spirit can do that. And so when I'm one with God, and think about one as wholeness, that I become one and whole with my wife.
Jimmy, can you speak to like when spouses, for example, you saw that growing in me
Yeah.
when you weren't emotionally healthy yet?
Yeah. So like for me, it's like as I begin to do my work individually, right, and become one within myself, our marriage, then that was contagious to our marriage. And now it's a literally what I warred with inside of me when it was unhealthy became a weapon on the other side of me in our marriage, because now I equip Irene with a a version of life giving, the nature of gentleness and all of the things, but still, knowing what I wanted and this drive that I had, and how I modeled that. And now what we used to be a part of our misery is now a part of a model for her to draw on in our relationship. So if we get individually healthy, now we are corporately healthy as one. And now what I used to, me unhealthy, I'd be like, why are you so codependent? Da, 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 da. Why you did, you need to be stronger, all the things. And God was like, no, if you modeled it healthy, she would be able to draw from that. And you haven't given her a healthy model to even look at. So when we talk about equation, what we're saying is what she's not, I am, can become what we are as one together when it's healthy.
And what I was leading into.
Can you stop putting commas on my sentences, please?
The question I was wanting you to speak to is like when that started, the strength started to rise up in me, and I started getting strong at it. I wasn't perfect at it, so I would make the mistake of being a little bit too harsh or different things like that. Like that made you feel some kind of way. I remember you being like, "Oh no, let me quiet that down in her." Like I don't like when we were unhealthy. That's what it looked like, and I think that listeners can identify with that. Because there's some people who, you're getting stronger individually in your own work that you're doing within yourself, and your spouse may be like, oh, wait a minute, that's too much. Because when we're not healthy, we want the person to stay dysfunctional, and we may not be conscious of it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we need to become conscious and aware of the fact that the growth we're seeing in our spouse is not like going to hurt us. Like them,
it's not something to compete against. It's the counterpart. It completes it. It completes our marriage.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't complete me, but her wholeness completes our marriage. I don't complete her, but when I'm whole, it completes our marriage. So that old movie, with Cuba Gooding Jr., whatever, and and it's like you, there's a truth to some of it. You don't complete me, but when you get whole, you complete our marriage.
It's good.
Well, Jimmy, just so you know, she's not putting a comma on your sentences. What you said was so good, it inspired something inside of her.
Come on.
She can no longer contain it.
One up me, make me better.
Wow.
I love you though.
I'm used to his comments. I just ignore them.
Okay, let's move on to what you guys talk about in balancing love, laughter, and longevity. So love and laughter are obviously essential parts of a strong and healthy marriage. So how do you guys both practically prioritize laughter and fun in your relationship, especially during the challenging and difficult times? And then what advice would you give to couples struggling to find that in their marriage right now?
Yeah.
I would say scripturally, I'll talk about laughter, because that's not Irene's spiritual gift.
You listen to me up.
Absolutely. But I mean, scripturally, the joy of the Lord is our strength, right? And most people feel like I don't have strength until I have joy, right? But it's actually the opposite. When I have joy, I find myself stronger. I find our marriage stronger. And how I'd say in the sermon is, man, people suck at being fun. And just because there's friction doesn't mean there can't be fun. We just have to compartmentalize and prioritize we would say anything that's a fracture or friction for when we're going to do it. So in other words, what was happening in our marriage is we would be mad about something dumb, and then it kidnapped, it hijacked every single fun area of fun in our house. But now, so what we do is we're going to plan an argument. We're going to plan anything that we need to talk about. It's going to be Fridays at 11 o'clock for an hour. And when we did that, we were able to keep the rest of our environment fun, laughter, movies, comedy, scrolling on TikTok, sending inappropriate TikToks that I know is going to make Irene, grossed out, but laugh. Like laughter is a currency in heaven. Joy is internal. It's not happiness. It's this internal contentment that God is in control, and out of that, I can find the good in situations, no matter what situation you're in. So I would encourage that so many people that listen to this would be like, well, I can't laugh because, man, I can't stand them. Well, maybe you would be able to stand them if you took some time to laugh and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's laughter. You do the
longevity.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Did you say longevity or love?
You said longevity.
Love, laughter, and longevity.
So it has.
Well, can I say something about the laughter part? I mean, I don't want to move on from the laughter part. So I guess like one of the questions I thought, for your book, when people read your book, are they going to laugh while they're reading the book? Is there funny things in the book, or is it just more straightforward? Hey, this is what you need to do to help.
All right, this is us on paper, and talking through the things like there's a part in there that I literally talk about in our fund that I'm 50 years old, but I still pass gas, and it's very funny for me when it chokes Irene. And so that is the book. And I'm not encouraging you to do that.
Very wide.
It's the deviant part of me that loves to laugh at her expense. Stuff like that in the book. There's stuff like how we disagree about what the kids, should do, shouldn't do, and how we got laughed at.
And like even it's his voice and my voice, and then we come together and have one voice together. So you're always going to hear, and it'll be titled Jimmy, and you'll get to hear his sound, his voice, his jokes, all of that. And we wanted to 100% be authentic and transparent because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And that's our style of ministry, and that's what we want to model to people. So like for me, it's like I have learned so much from loosening up with Jimmy, just loosening up and not taking him so seriously.
Yeah.
And so even the listeners might be like, oh my gosh, she keeps picking on her, or I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But like it's our banter, and we're okay with it. And when I say ouch, he knows to back off because he's now crossing a boundary with me. So I know what my limits are, even with laughter. We're in the whole, and we dive into this in the book too, just becoming emotionally healthy. You understand when, we can, in a healthy way, confront one another when we're using humor to cover up wounds, like sarcasm. And sometimes people use it as a weapon. The laughter, making a joke out of something, but you're really
right. That's where it comes. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that too, because I know like early in our marriage, Amy had to help me with that. I'm very dry and love to joke around. And man, I just want to just pinch myself. I'm trying to say for some of the things I would say as a teenager, and then now, as a married man. But it's like, how can we help these husbands realize like you need to know when you're crossing the line with your wife, and your wife does not need to ever be the butt of your joke.
Yeah, I think I love Irene being the butt of my joke. So this one's got great question, Josh. What works for us and what we taught couples in the book is basically there's areas that are sensitive that have nothing to do with us individually that trigger something that God has entrusted you to care for in your spouse. Right. And so if your joke, if your rebuttal, if your reply, if your conversation triggers that thing, we're not caring for it well. Right. So I know those areas. So even if I get close to the area, we have come up with, like, Irene in any setting can just text me ouch. And I know what that means. That means, hey,
you don't get your feelings hurt. You don't get worked up and try to defend.
No, because we predetermine what's going to happen in those moments. one of the things that we teach in this book, why do you have a 5-year plan for your life? Why do you have a 10-year plan for your vocation, but not a 5-hour plan for when you get in an argument? So, or when there's tension. All we do is predetermine when tension comes, how we're going to respond to it. And when we both agree on that, if she says ouch and I get offended, what she says is like, are you sure that God entrusted you to care for this in me? She doesn't have to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that I need to back off. I never have to send her ouch.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like the laughter part, I know you guys, so I know this is just built into who you are and your ministry, but I feel bad for people that can't laugh in their marriage and laugh in church. It's like, because I honestly feel like that's part of how God is wired and how he's wired us as people. I had a youth pastor tell me one time, Jimmy, you mentioned passing gas, and it's so funny. My kids think like I'm the gassiest person that ever lived, but why do we have that? I really think God put snot dripping down over our nose and gave us gas for, to kind of like point out how silly we are. And I think sometimes we forget about that. It's like, there are so many times where like I've made such a bigger deal out of things, and I just feel like God like has to like calm me down. I think like that laughter can just kind of like bring you down a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's scientifically proven, like that whole, you can get a degree in positive psychology now, and there's something to it.
Yeah.
Like literally God created us. Like you said, the moment that laughter hits and you lighten up, and you can now shift out of what you were going to be defensive about.
Yeah.
What you can shift out of fight, flight, or freeze. Like getting, putting, like literally when we are in that mode, you can't think logically that my spouse doesn't mean to hurt me.
Yeah.
I need to communicate now. If I can get myself out of that taking it personal moment, and sometimes laughter does that. A lot of the time it does, majority of the time, then we can look back at the thing and say, oh, is this my work?
Yeah.
Like maybe I need to look at this differently. Maybe this is a sensitive subject that I need to tell my husband, it's not you, but I'm sensitive because, and then I share, I can trust him with why I'm sensitive about it. And then he can be part of the healing process. It's not an excuse to like make that, an untouchable area of joking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 9 years sober this November 12th from alcohol addiction. Yes. And what is amazing about it is somewhere along the way, we were sitting like, I think 6 months into my sobriety, and we're sitting in front of the TV watching football. And I'm like, man, they make it hard for an alcoholic out on these streets.
Yeah.
Because all the commercials were alcohol related. And so that was me being honest and transparent. That was a huge breakthrough moment in our marriage when he had permission to now joke about something and we lightened up the word alcoholic instead of it being this shameful, taboo thing.
Yeah.
No, it's a story now.
Yeah.
So
could it be that like people that don't laugh, they're just constipated? People that don't laugh act like they don't pass gas, and they might not stuffy in their personal, character. So Josh, I'm with you. Like, just gas shows, I think it's a fruit of laughter. We shouldn't be talking about this. Inspired by
I didn't have that on my bingo card when we were talking about that. I know Amy hates potty talk. I mean, she hates it. So I know she's super uncomfortable right now.
I a much wiser, she's a grandmother now, mother, grandmother. She gave me this little tip that she raised 2 sons who are amazing and have great marriages and families themselves now. And she told me when my youngest was only 3 years old, and I think Sophie had said something that was, bathroom talk. And she said, Amy, she said, I always told my boys if they made a joke about something on the potty, they must need to go in the potty. So if you want to talk about that, go into the bathroom and you can talk about that all you want.
Got it.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. I like that one.
Family of origin. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that worked for Sophie. It has not worked for Grace.
No, it's not.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have one last question for you guys as we wrap up here.
Yeah, I kind of want to hone in on the legacy of marriage and specifically with you guys. Obviously, this incredible book, 2=1, we're so excited. It's going to bless so many couples, so many people. Can't wait for that release. And, just all of your story, all that you guys have walked through, and now how you are helping so many couples in their own marriages, in their own lives. What legacy do you hope that your marriage will leave for others, especially even for your own children and the next generation of couples?
Great.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Because the legacy is in, I would say, if I had to simplify it, it's in doing the work. That's why we did a workbook. If you get the book, great. There's prayer in there. There's questions to explore with your spouse, and etc. But when you get the workbook, you can really do some work. And let me tell you, this is the type of workbook where you could use the same material over and over and over again every year. Do the same study, and something new will come up.
Yeah.
So what we believe is that God is going to use we are going to find healing individually and then in our marriage, and create this new model for marriages. We feel we have done the work. We've shown our kids, and the legacy we're leaving is that we don't have to be perfect. We just have to be willing to work.
That's right.
And willing to own our stuff. And that legacy is now in the form of a book that can be spread across the world and change generations, not just the Rollins.
That's right.
And it's so exciting that we can put something, people ask us all the time, can you coach us? Yes, we do coaching, marriage coaching, once a month on online, but you're not going to get one-on-one with Jimmy and I to walk you through your marriage stuff. So this is the way to do it. Buy the book, buy the work, pray. If your spouse doesn't want to do it with you, okay, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Lean into it yourself, grow yourself, and you will lead your family, whether you're the husband or the wife, or you're single. You will lead your family in leaving a legacy and a model that they will, this generation can get a good taste in their mouth. I don't know, all of us have to confront at some point in our journey what model we were presented with as far as marriage is concerned, what model we were exposed to, what has made an imprint on us that's how we operate today in our relationship. Well, through the book 2=1, we go on that journey so that we can unpack it and make sure it's healthy, so that we can become more aware of what we need to leave behind and grow and leave a healthy legacy for our family.
I think simply put, it's like, if you look at be fruitful, multiply, subdue, and have dominion, like this command to mankind at the very beginning. Think about your marriage in that context. If your marriage is fruitful, be fruitful, multiply a healthy marriage, to your kids, to the world. Because I believe that one of the best gospels is a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Right. That's why Jesus equated how he loves the church with how we are to love our spouse. So if our marriage is fruitful, I'm fruitful individually, we can multiply this model of healthy marriage and subdue. I think that word subdue, if you think about lassoing something, that you're trying to capture the bad things, capture the family of origin, take captivity of what tried to take captivity of you, so that we can have dominion, which is the kingdom of God being revealed throughout the world. That's legacy. It's legacy when we pass that down to our kids, not just the model of it, but the responsibility to keep passing it.
Yeah.
And so we want couples to have love, laughter, and longevity, so they understand that we can multiply and our marriage can be a blessing to us and others.
Amazing. Well, guys, thank you so much for this conversation. I'd love for you just to leave us. I'm going to link everything in the show notes for everyone as well. But how can they get coaching from you? How can they follow you? And how can they get your book?
Well, you can get the book anywhere where books are sold: Amazon, Target, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, all of the things. Or you can go to our website, 2=1book.com, and get it there. We can follow us on Instagram at I am Jimmy Rollins and Irene Rollins. That's separate. And then we also have Jimmy and Irene Rollins on Instagram. And I think one of the main things we're encouraging couples to do is, as they read the book, consider our coaching. Consider it's monthly. You get a video. All of the principles are in the book and the monthly coaching. You're doing it with hundreds of couples all around the world. And then we also do a live Q&A call every month. And we're adding to that community, and you can sign up to that community right on our website, 2equals1.com, spell it all out. But we're excited, not for a book to sell. We're excited for marriages to work.
Yes.
Amazing.
Amazing.
All right. Amy, anything else?
I love it. I just, knowing you guys, knowing your stories, it's so incredible because you guys are the real deal. You have always been the real deal. You've never been one to shy away from sharing truly from a vulnerable and open space, the challenges and struggles you face. But what I also love is you don't stop there.
Yeah.
And what you've highlighted is that you both have modeled for us, Josh and I personally, all of our friends, all of the pastors and church planners and people that we work alongside in ministry, how to do the work separately, how to do the work together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like this 2equals1 book is really a culmination of decades of what you guys have modeled so well for us for all these years, and putting it in a practical, relatable way, and having from the workbook to the coaching, it makes it so practical for people. Because I sometimes think when we look at our marriages, if we're in a difficult, challenging season, it can be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you are really giving us baby steps that we can take together and grow and grow individually, grow together. So I love it. Cannot wait for people to get their hands on this.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And everyone who's listening, tune in, like, subscribe, all the things to Believe Again podcast. Josh and Amy are the real deal.
Yes. And I want to commend you two for doing the work. You guys have done the work, and we've just had, we're privileged to have been a part of watching you flourish individually and in your marriage. So y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Talk to you later.
We love y'all.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Believe Again podcast, powered by Parable. We've loved having Jimmy and Irene Rollins with us today, sharing their incredible story and insights on building a marriage filled with love and laughter.
Yes, we're so grateful for their wisdom, and we hope you took away some valuable lessons to apply to your own life and ministry. And as always, we want to thank our sponsor, Parable Church Accounting, Bookkeeping, and Strategic Services.
Parable helps you place every dollar on mission, telling the story of His kingdom. To learn more, visit liveyourparable.com/believeagain, where you can access free resources and tools for your church. Plus, when you mention Believe Again, you'll get 25% off your onboarding.
Thanks again for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate and subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, keep believing and leading strong.